What's up, guys? It's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei was neglected and became OP? Part 11, the finale. Yes, this is going to be the final part because it's the last chapter and, well, it's not my story, so I cannot continue it. So, stay mad. But, okay. So thank you guys so much for the support on this series. It was absolutely amazing. There will be a movie for this whole entire genre, but I need to know which story you guys want me to do next. I have heard The Fallen Rewrite. I have heard The Great Devil King. I've heard like a lot of things in the comment section. Just put the story down in the comment section down below, whatever you want me to do, because I'm also going to do Goku in DxD, or What If Goku was in High School DxD, as a separate series continuing. So yeah, I just want to let you know I have that one already planned. And yes, so go ahead and let me know what's going on with that. But thank you guys so much for the support. It's been absolutely amazing. And yeah, so let's go ahead and wait a minute. You thought you'd get away from me. Go ahead and subscribe to my second channel, Palski, and my second channel, Fallen DxD. Yeah, that's right, my second channel, not my third one. Okay, guys, thank you so much for the support. Without further ado, let's go ahead and thank my balance breakers: Rob the King, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Ed Lewis, Night Ammo, Refeek 135, Asamotus Slow, Keep Saying 21, Louis Bermudez, $5 Sake, VR Wish Tag 3247, Night Ammo, Ziki 2000, Seth Voiles, the PS_gamer, XRX108, Legendary Saiyan 98, Mazaku, Dr. Niscramagios is the bomb, Grim Fireshot Gamer, That Round Guy, Zero Fusion, Source Spawner, and Chaotic Raven. Thank you guys so much for becoming a balance breaker, and thank you to my limit breakers as well. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload, or whenever I do a video in general, join the little blue button right next to the subscribe button, or look for it's the first link in the description below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and roll into part 11. So we're basically right in the middle of chapter 8. If you would like to follow along, here we go. It doesn't work like that. Concerning your regeneration, it was imprinted in your blood, and we have enough of that form for your left arm alone. Oh, just for, to interrupt myself really quick, this is Drake talking to Issei because he just asked him if he lost his powers or his abilities, and this is Drake letting him know otherwise. Great Red and Orifice will propagate to the remaining blood to the rest of your body, and your ability will be restored. In fact, it's possible that your regeneration will be boosted if you consider that your new body will have the flesh of Great Red and the power of Orifice, both of whom have unfathomable regeneration abilities. There's a chance that a tiny fraction of those abilities will be passed over to you. It's the flesh of Great Red and the power of Orifice. It isn't inevitably, but there might be a chance. In any event, even if it doesn't happen, your previous regeneration abilities will be fully functional, Drake clarified, making Issei realize a sigh of relief. He went through the unimaginable amount of pain to obtain that ability. He would be really pissed off if he were to lose it. In terms of your other abilities, those are impossible to lose. You know them like the back of your hand. They are engraved within your mind and your soul. Trust me when I say, nothing is going to change. All of that will be happening is that you will be getting a stronger body with larger magical reserves. There are be a few new physical features and maybe a few new abilities, but you will still be the same as before in every other aspect. No, let me correct that. There will be one large change. The lifespan that you lost when you used the Juggernaut Drive will be restored, considering whose power you will have running through you. There is a chance for your lifespan to surpass those of ordinary devils. Really? Issei said with a bit of shock, as well as a mighty amount of relief. Damn, this is looking like less of a setback and more like the best thing that could have happened to me. I wouldn't disagree with that, partner. Your amazing luck once again surprises me, Drake replied heartedly. Scene change. All throughout the underworld, numerous battles were taking place. The forces of the underworld, as well as their allies, were doing the best to hold back the terrible monsters that were threatening their home. Help from the yokai faction, from Hyoudou, the demigods of the Greek pantheon, the Valkyries of the Norse, as well as the angels and fallen angels were all in full force, displaying the unity of their alliances and their desire to protect their peace. They, Lucifer Parage, along with Seraphal Leviathan, were the ones leading the charge. They're showing no mercy in dealing with the monsters. towards the inner part of the city. There were also a few decisive battles taking place thanks to the bravery of Sanji Geshiru. An entire school bus of children were saved from the attack of rampaging Hercules. The large number of the hero faction wasn't done with a single attack though, and proceeded to use the devil's concern for the children as a way to inflict damage upon them. Not long after, the sea tree barrage was assisted by the Gremory barrage, plus Ravel, who came upon the scene after being attracted by large explosions. The returning Rosvisa displayed her improved defense magic by holding Hercules at bay. Irina and Zenobia, who had returned from heaven with a new and improved extra Rondel, engaged Genie D'Arc of the hero faction along with Akano. Cyborg Biel entered the scene and not long after proceeded to beat the shit out of Heracles, who sneered throughout the entire ordeal at the thought of Issei and Cyborg being considered heroes to the children of the underworld. One Toki enhanced punch later and Hercules crumpled like a house of cards. Gasper was next to arrive and was happy to see the rest of his friends. Although he was ashamed of himself for not making any progress with his training, his mood was further dampened by Grigorg from the hero faction, who informed the unsympathetically that Issei was killed. Nobody could explain what happened. Next, another that Gasper seemingly snapped. His eyes glowed an eerie red and the shadows of darkness came into life before devouring Grigorg, who could do nothing to defend himself. Gasper had passed out shortly after, leaving all those who witnessed the act with a deep sense of fear and unease at the events. Jean, seeing that things were not in her favor anymore, took one of the nearby children hostage and held him at sword point. Surprisingly though, the child showed absolutely no signs of fear or anger. He had a happy smile on his face and he was held against as well. Jean had noticed this and decided to question the boy about it. "You seem quieter than I thought you would be, little boy. Can't say anything because you're too scared?" she asked, looking at the boy with a smirk. The boy didn't seem to fall for her taunts, as the boy with a bright smile on his face. "Nope, I'm not scared at all, because the Opie dragon will be coming very soon," the boy said with absolute certainty in his voice. Those around him, a bit by surprise, there was fear. There was no fear in his voice whatsoever. "Too bad, little boy. The Opie Dragon is dead. This is Onansima's friend defeated him. That's why Opie Dragon can't come here anymore," Jean said, hoping to extinguish the hope of the boy seemed to be holding on to, but it absolutely did nothing to diminish if his smile was anything to go by. "It's okay. I made a promise to him in my dream. When I was sleeping, I was scared of a big monster. It appeared in my dream. He said he will come here, so I shouldn't cry. He said he will definitely return when he made a magic chant," the boy explained enthusiastically. Everyone else saw the same dream as well. Furikun and Talus-chan also had the same dream as me. The children in the other class also saw the same dream. Everyone saw the same dream. There were a few shocked faces among them that were looking at them, trying to make sense of what he was saying. They didn't know if he was overactive imagination or if it really happened. There was almost a faint stirring of hope in the devils at what they were hearing, even though their hope was already there. Hearing the boy and what they only added to the fuel to the fire. Almost as the boy, along with his friends as well as the rest of the children in the underworld, started singing, their voices reverberating through the different cities. There is an Opie-loving dragon, the adage of the country. The dragon goes for a walk when the weather is good. Dragon, dragon, Opie dragon, grope, grope, suck, suck. But he likes the big ones the best. The Opie dragon also flies today in the edge of a certain town. The Opie dragon was laughing. Even in a stormy day, the Opie dragon becomes happy by pressing Opie. Dragon, dragon, dragon. Click, click, zoom, zoom. Yeah. He has seen a lot of Opie, but he likes big ones the best. Opie dragon Alpo pushes today. It was surreal to those who were watching. The hearts and the minds of the children of the underworld were in sync, and they gleefully called out to their hero, the hero that held in the highest regard, the hero that they had the utmost faith in, a hero that never ignores their voices. It was when their singing got louder and their voices reached a crest that a large crack appeared in the sky. It gave way more to rocks as proportions the sky shattered as a familiar aura blanketed the entirety of the underworld, filling those that knew it with hope and courage. Jean started to look around frantically, along with the rest of the youth devils around her as they tried to spot the source of the aura. The boy was still singing happily, his voice even more excited than before. The sky in the distance fully shattered and an enormous red dragon made its way through. The entire battlefield was silent as the ultimate existence, Great Red, appeared before anyone could react. There was a streak of black from the top of Great Red's head that was seen. Before she knew what happened, Jean's pretty face was introduced to the bottom size of 11 boot, the courtesy of a black-clad feature delivering a perfectly executed helicopter kick, sending her flying into the opposite direction as he scooped up the boy in his arms as he used his momentum to go skidding backwards with one hand on the ground and his head down as he tried to control his movement. He came to a stop opposite the devil group and Jean, who's slowly picking herself up out from the rubble. As he lifted up his head, the brown hair that was covering his face fell away, revealing the piercing green eyes and a handsome face of Issei Hyoudou as he gave a roguish grin at his audience. Yo, sorry I'm late. Scene change, minutes prior. How does your new body feel? Any discomfort? Dreg asked. Issei reflexed his hands, feeling out his new body. I feel great. I can literally feel the power throwing beneath my skin. I can honestly say that I feel as though I've been in this body my whole life. Orphis in Great Red did some really great work with this one, Issei replied as he continued to take in the sensations of his body. Sorry for the chair squeaking. Not much change in terms of his overall physique. His solid, compressed muscles were still on full display and his height didn't change. His hair, though, was a bit longer, reaching just past his shoulders, and also a little lighter in color, being more hazel in color compared to the darker brown that it used to be. His cheekbones were a lot higher and more pronounced, giving him a bit of a noble face, but other than that, he was pretty much the same. It was spiritually and magically that he felt the most changes. He could feel his reserves and power had shot up exponentially. He could estimate that he was at least of a high class in terms of demonic power. It was a massive improvement from the Mirage's reserves of power that he had boasted a few months ago. He was looking forward to what the other secrets in this new body held. They already used Issei's potent fire magic to burn the remainder of his old body. It was strange for the moment for Issei to see himself burn to ashes. He would be lying if he said that he didn't make him uncomfortable. You were already an unpredictable person to begin with, but now, with the added power of Orphis and the flesh of Great Red, your growth is something that not even I can predict, Drake said. That being said, there are downsides to your new body, one of them being that you are now even more vulnerable to dragon slayers due to your constitution. Light-based magic will also do a bit more damage compared to you before due to you increased devil traits. As it stands, it would be to call you a devil-dragon hybrid. Well, that kinda sucks, but I guess there's always a downside to everything. I can live with those weaknesses though. I was already vulnerable to them in the first place, and after taking poison, the ultimate dragon slayer, I think I might be able to handle a regular dragon slayer, Issei pondered out loud. Devil dragon hybrid, huh? So I'm a demonic dragon. Nah, Diablos dragon sounds a lot cooler. It certainly has a much better ring to it than Opie Dragon, Drake snorted diversely. Ha! Don't be such a downer, Drake. I kinda like the Opie Dragon's persona. It's like Naruto, a bit of pudding at first, but it eventually grows on you, Issei replied with a hearty laugh. So what's the deal with this big guy? He hasn't really said anything to me. Did he give you a reason to why he decided to help me? It's Great Red, so most of the things he does are on a whim. Who knows? Maybe you caught his interest or something. I honestly don't know if I can tell you for sure. He's normally a pretty mellow guy. As long as you don't look at him funny, he's happy to swim around the dimensional gap all the time, he replied. Issei felt a bead of sweat going down his face as he heard that. So in a nutshell, he's like a dragon version of a delinquent motorcyclist, except with the power to destroy the world, Issei said, with a disabling voice. Even Drake hunted his head a little at hearing the description. Basically. Is this world really going to be okay? Issei asked, with a deadpan look on his face. All the powerful guys in the world have some serious personality issues. I thought I was bad, but compared to most of them, I'm like a poster child of sanity. Now it was Drake's turn to deadpan at his partner. Issei was the furthest thing from sane. He was just as crazy as the rest. It's a wonder that the world is still in one piece. As they both lapsed into silence, a sound could be heard in the silence of the dimensional gap. It was the sound of chanting. No, it was the sound of singing. It was the voice of children singing. Issei recognized the song immediately. It was the Opie Dragon theme song. Images started projecting in front of him and the children of the underworld calling out to him with happy smiles on their faces. He remembered the dream he had when he told them that if they ever needed the help, they should sing the Opie Dragon song and he would come to save them. It looks like it was time to keep that promise. Great Red is saying that he is reflecting the feelings of all the children in the underworld here, Drake explained. Great Red represents dreams, the dreams one has, the dream one saw, the dream one imagined. He is showing it to us. Come to think of it, it's possible that your strong desire to return home was what made Great Red appear by responding to your dream. Issei just nodded his head, too busy basking in the feelings of positivity, in hope that he could feel radiating from the innocent children. It was an amazing moment for him, to hear all of them call out to him in such a way. A few months ago, he was getting beaten up by the girls' kennel club for peeping, and now he's in the dimensional gap with the two most powerful beings in the world, on the way to the underworld where the majority of the children are calling out to save them. It was a euphoric feeling. It's amazing. For them to be singing for me, it's hard to believe. It's strange. That song I detested so much. Now it feels strong to me. Looks like I'm seriously breaking down now, Drake stated despondently. Let it be, Drake. This song is something which is very warm and comforting right now. It's the song of hope and happiness. I think it's a good thing, Issei said before looking to his side where Orpheus was blankly staring at him. Orpheus-chan, are you ready to go home? Home? I have no such place, she answered. Ha, don't be silly. You are my little cute Emoto. My home is your home. You can live with me as long as you want. That's what families are like, he responded. Upon hearing that, Orpheus displays the first blatant sign of emotion he had seen thus far. Her eyes widened in surprise before a dazzling smile gathered her face. I am Omi-san's family. I shall go together with you, she replied before Issei scooped her up, warm embrace, no longer able to refrain himself of her cuteness as she was just too deadly. As Issei finally put her down, dusting any dirt off her, they broke through the dimensional gap where they were greeted with the purple skies of the underworld. There were skill of cute fight of monsters milling about, the largest ones right in front of them, being held at bay by Lucifer's barrage. He spotted Graviuson flying about, delivering some devastating hammer blows to a creature, all while looking like a badass warrior queen. He made note to never get on her bad side. Orpheus-chan, I need you to go take care of something real quick. I'll be back in a minute, so sit tight, Kay? Issei said, getting a nod from Orpheus before he vanished in a blur of black. He zipped through the skies and finally spotted his target. He found a fond smile across his face as he gazed at his comrades. Even though he's a little been icy from these last few weeks, he still cared for them a great deal for them. As such, he can safely say that he missed them a bit. They say that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it certainly did. Coming to those, the death made him realize that holding on to such grudges would be pointless. He made a vow to try to be more accommodating to them in the future. He also spotted the Citri Barrage down there, as well as Cyroorg. That guy looked as magnificent as ever. His eyes finally fell upon the visage of the beautiful manager. He smiled at the defiant look in her eyes as she glared at the enemy. She was really too good to be true. Issei decided that he would do something for her when this is all said and done to show his appreciation for her, as well as make any stress-free may have caused in his death. He put those thoughts out of his mind as he got his game face on and focused on Jean, who was holding one of the little fans hostage. Before she knew what happened, Jean's pretty face was introduced to the bottom sides of an 11, but courtesy of Issei delivering a perfectly executed helicopter kick, sending her flying to the opposite direction as he scooped up the boy, and he says, "Yo, sorry I'm late." Now we're back to the present. Issei senpai, Issei-san, Issei Hyoudou, his friend shouted upon seeing him. He was in his regular outfit of black leather pants with red straps on his right thigh with the black leather boots. He wore plain white and button-up shirt that left untucked on the top button, left undone, showing his tantalizing neckline as well as his dragon fang necklace. He wore a knee-length black leather jacket over it, and that was thick, covering white fur around the collar. "Opie Dragon!" the little boy in his arms cheered as he gazed upon his hero. Issei gave him a smile in return. "Hey there, little guy. That was mighty brave of you. Good job. I'll take it from here, though," Issei said with a ruffle in his hair. He vanished from his spot, the boy in his arms, before they both appeared next to Cyroorg. "Hey, Cyroorg, do me a favor. Keep an eye on the little tyke, will ya? There's a few things I need to take care of." "Ha! Issei Hyoudou, you never cease to amaze me. Sure, I'll watch the boy," he replied. Issei gave him a thumbs up before vanishing once again. This time, he appeared before Jean with his fist cocked back. He concentrated his Byakusho haki in his fist, holding just a little back not to kill her before unleashing a devastating falcon punch to her midsection. She was sent flying through the two buildings before her broken body came to a stop. She was out cold and bleeding. A few of her bones were jutting out at the odd angles at a concisive force of the punch, as well as the journey to the concrete took on a toll of her body. Zenobia, Irina, go collect her and bring her to Azia for healing. Make sure to slap some magic suppressing bracelets on her to ensure that she stays conscious. She will tell us a lot about her organization when this is over, he ordered, getting no hesitation from them as the two mention as they both have a comical salute before taking off. Once they got to work, Issei took off once again, this time only heading back towards Great Red. I'm seeing things this right? That was Hyoudou, who came here riding Great Red like a fucking steed, right? Saji asked out loud, completely befuddled. His king just gave a tired sigh as she meshes her temples. It's bet you not question it, Sanji. When it comes to Issei-kun, the impossible really stays as such. Sony advised. Saji nodded dumbly before catching on to the slip in her sentence where she referred to Issei in a casual and friendly manner, using his nickname. His eyes burned with anger and jealousy as he glared at the spot in the distance, vowing to beat the shit out of that bastard for making Sona call him so familiar. The girls of the ORC were shedding tears at seeing Issei, well, all except Ross Weiss, who just nodded her head in confirmation, having never believed that he had died in the first place. They were having a hard time possessing their emotions at the point that simply settled for gazing at him happily as he went down to doing he did his best. Ravel had a beautiful smile on her face as she gazed at her future master. She had absolutely no doubts about his safety. She knew that he would never lose to such a lowly worm like Shalba Beelzebub. All she could do up to this point was wait for his return as she retailed his friends, and once again he proved her faith to be absolutely worth it. Issei reappeared atop Great Red right next to Orpheus. He saw that Lucifer's Parage was still having a bit of an issue with the largest monster who had stopped moving and was staring straight at the large red dragon. "Oh, Drake, what's going on here?" he asked his partner. Well, Great Red said, and I quote, "I don't like that monster because he glared at me," Treg replied with a deadpan look on his face at the absurdity of the Apocalypse Dragon. Issei's sweat dropped at this, feeling a bit sorry for the monster who managed to garner the wrath of the city Kyoto for simply glaring at him. This solidified Issei's opinion of Great Red as a delinquent high schooler. It made him wonder if he was really a peaceful dragon. "Anyway, partner, Great Red is saying it will lend its powers, so let's defeat that monster." "Lend me his powers?" Issei asked curiously. "It is okay, Onisama and Great Red should combine. Onisama's current body, it is kind of the same as a true dragon. You can combine," Orpheus supplemented, sounding like it was completely normal occurrence. "Ooh, Drake, what is my little key Orpheus talking about?" Issei asked nervously before Great Red's body started emitting a red aura that blanketed the entire area. Issei's body started emitting the same kind of aura as they started to resonate with each other. Issei blacked out for a second. Before he finally came to, the first thing he spotted was the monster that was right in front of him, only this time it was hulking monstrously. It was at eye level with him, which made zero sense at all. "Did you regain consciousness, partner?" Drake asked. Yeah, I have, but why does the thing looking like monster smaller than before?" he asked in response. "It isn't smaller than before, you just became a hell of a lot bigger." At hearing Drake's response, Issei looked around and realized that everything became micro-sized. Not only that, but he was now covered in his balance breaker armor as well. He could see tiny figures, and the Lucifer Barrage fitting about how well was the once touring skyscrapers of the underworld barely reaching to his knees. He felt like he was in Legoland. "It seems that you finally understand it. Great Red said that he will lend you his power to you, right? This is what he meant. Great Red made you into his size, just like Orpheus said, by combining, unless you became a super gigantic mecha. Congratulations," Drake said dryly. "Fuck you, Drake. Stop divering me some sick amusement from my suffering. Why the hell is he even doing this? Couldn't he have just roared and blew that abomination away?" "Well, he said this isn't really his thing. To battle to win. Plus, apparently it's a lot cooler to be a giant mecha, as he's always wanted to see one in action." I can feel a migraine coming on. Let's just get this over with before this crazy bastard gets me to even more outrageous situation. "The good news is that there is a finishing move for you to use according to Great Red." "Great! The bad news is that it would destroy the entire area if you use its destructive power is insane." "Fuck!" "We have to use it though, there's no other way." Issei nodded before walking. a lot closer to waving over to Grafia. Nissan, can you hear me? Issei called out. Issei-san, that's a gigantic red dragon emperor. Is really you, then? I'm glad you're safe, she said with a relieved tone of expression on her beautiful face. Yeah, a lot of things happened, but I'm back. Thanks for your concern, he replied. Ha, it's no problem. What is this gigantic thing, though? She questioned. Nissan, there's no time to explain, so I will explain about this form afterwards. There's something I need your help with. I have a way to defeat that monster, but I need your cooperation, he stated. Grafia's face took a stern look on what truly made her like a warrior queen. Issei felt his face heat up as he cursed her ex for being such a lucky bastard for bagging such an outrageously beautiful woman in his life. Let me hear it. What should I do? No, what should we do? She replied. Okay, I need you to get that monster to go up in the air. If you can do that, I can release a special attack, he responded. Grafia smiled at his request, which isn't much of a proper plan. I see. It's the plan that this is very easy to understand. More than that, your special attack sounds very heartening. Let's do it. If I can't do at least that, then how can I call myself queen of the Lucifer group, she declared as she flew off giving out orders to the rest of the barrage. They went to work slowly before the monster came powerful attacks before one of the members logged off its legs, which slowly started regenerating, but it was enough. A magical circle appeared beneath the monster, which started slowly glowing brightly. We will take it up now, Issei-san, Grafia shouted as the monsters launched by the impact from the magic circle, blasting him straight into the sky. Alright, Drake, let's do this. You got it. Drake responds immediately at the chest portion of the boosted gear scale mail. Slides open, allowing a large cannon to push out. Longinus Smasher! This is the taboo power, which you are not supposed to attain outside of the Juggernaut Drive. Issei remembered the last time he used this move and got a chill of destruction he caused. The cannon started vibrating silently as a massive red aura gathered at the tip, as the monsters turned to its attention at the cannon upon its descent. Issei let loose. Longinus Smasher! A thick red aura burst from the cannon, completely enveloping the monster before detonating in a colossal explosion that literally shocked the world. As the smoke cleared away, not a single trace of the monster remained. It was completely vaporized. Issei's body was once again surrounded by a red aura before his perception changed once again, and everything was back to scale. His armor was gone, he was back in his base form. He looks around and finally turns his eyes to Great Red, who was high up in the sky, staring straight at him. The two stared in silence for a moment before Issei gave him a smirk and a thumbs up. Thanks for all your help, big guy, he says. The sky behind Great Red started opening, showing the dimensional gap as he opened his mouth and spoke to Issei for the first time. Zoom, zoom, Maya! And the smile on Issei's face froze as he heard those words from the ultimate existence. Zoom, zoom, Zion! Great Red kept singing as he entered the dimensional gap. As the portal finally closed, the smile fell off Issei's face as he had a hollow look in his eyes. Drake, what the fuck just happened? I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. Boko didn't hear anything, Drake replied in a childish voice. Ooh, Drake, stop trying to run away from reality, Issei protested. Zoom, zoom, Ion, Orpheus says with a cute tilt of her head as she appears next to Issei. He froze for a moment before scooping her up in a large hug and nuzzled her cheek with his own. So cute. It's much better when you say it, Orpheus Giant. You are definitely better than that useless delinquent dragon Great Red, Issei declared, causing satisfied gleam to appear in Orpheus's eyes at hearing his praise ahead of her rival. After pampering her for a bit more, he scooped her up, placed her on her back before releasing his large dragon wings and taking off towards his friends. Orpheus tightened her grip around his neck as he snuggled into his back as he soared through the sky. Comfortable, she muttered, getting a smile from Issei. His sharp eyes spotted his friends as he heard the near destination once again, happy to see that they were still all unharmed. He noticed that Gasper was unconscious and wondered what it was about. As they finally touched down, he took their expressions once more. A few of them were in the state of shock, while the others looking at him in tears in their eyes. He just shook his head fondly at them. I'm glad to see you all again, he said, with a soft smile, which released the floodgates as he was tackled by Rias, Akano, Azia, Zenobia, Irina, and Konako. It was like a dog pile. Luckily, he was sturdy enough to stay on his feet, but he didn't protest as he let them get it out of their systems as they cried. It must have been quite an harrowing experience for them these past few days, as he wouldn't begrudge from this moment. He simply returned their affectionate gesture with a fond smile on his face. While they were caught up in their emotions, he turned to the head of the others. Ross Faisa, it's good to see you again as well. I see your training paid off. Your aura feels a lot more potent than it was before, Issei complimented the white-haired beauty. I'm glad to hear that the rumors of your death were greatly exaggerated as well. It's good to have you back, Issei-kun, she replied with a smile. She would never say it out loud, but she had a bit of a soft spot for the lovable pervert. Yo, pretty boy, said Issei as he gave a cheeky look to Kiba, who just smiled in a fond exasperation. Issei-kun, you really are something else, replied the blonde knight. Sire Orc, always a pleasure to see you, Issei tipped his head to his rival. Issei Hyoudou, wonders never has ceased to amaze me, Sire Orc replied with a cheeky smile. Ha, what can I say, he responded with a shrug before his eyes turned to the next person. Sona, Saji as well. You guys look to be in good condition. Sona simply pushed her glasses up from the bridge of her nose before replying. I know you well enough to know that you wouldn't let something like this keep you down forever, so I guess I should say, welcome back. Issei gave her a smile and a nod in response as Saji gave him a murderous glare for being so intimately familiar with his crush. Issei's gaze turned to the final, and the most important person there. His green eyes locked onto the dark blue of his manager. Nothing needed to be said between them as their eyes conveyed that they needed to. He could see that the trust and confidence she had in his return, and she could see the happiness and the relief that he was finally back to where he belongs. They both exchanged genuine smiles as they said the only appropriate words that came to mind. I'm home, Issei said. Welcome home, Ravel replied warmly. After the girls disengaged him and worked up to clean the tears from their faces, Issei took the time to ask something that was bothering him. So, what's up with Gaisuki? He asked as he pointed to the unconscious crossdresser. He exhausted himself by taking out Groeg, Rias replied nervously. Issei let out an impressed whistle that with hearing his Kohai defeated, that the second in command of the hero faction, he could tell that there was more to the story, but decided this wasn't the time for it. The power to attract the strong is truly a scary thing if it can come this far. I came to here to look at the monster he was going to destroy the capital city Lilith, but I never thought you would appear alongside Great Red, Issei Hyoudou. A voice said as they turned to look at the leader of the hero faction, Kao. He was casually walking to them, resting his spear on his shoulder. Oh ho, if it isn't my old friend Kao. Have you been doing, buddy? Issei asked in a condescending tone, causing Kao's eyebrow to twitch slightly, breaking his normally composed appearance. You are unpleasant as ever, Red Dragon Emperor, he replied, getting a shit-eating grin from Issei in response. But, still, to come back after experiencing the poison of Samil, your ability to survive is truly astounding. You're like a cockroach that refuses to die. What can I say? I'm not as intimately familiar with death as you are, if you catch my drift, Issei teased, with a mocking look in his brows as he gestured his eyebrows. Referencing the homosexual relationship between Kao and Hades, he implied that he existed the last time they met. Kao's eyebrows were twitching even more violently as compared to before, causing Issei's grin to widen. Kao had wanted to say more concerning Issei's ability to survive the luck he seems to have met Grade Red, but the Red Dragon Emperor was doing his absolute best to get on his Chinese youth's nerves that all of his comments went out the window. As the stare between the two powerhouses intensified, a creepy aura started manifesting to the right of Kao. The black aura started concealing and taking shape as an ornamental black robe, and a scythe, and a clown mask. Issei was familiar with this aura's appearance. It was the ultimate class Grim Reaper, Pluto. He involved himself in their affairs at the behest of his master, Hades. Earlier, Issei was still tossed up at the skeleton god, glared dangerously at the Reaper. It hasn't been long since we met everyone. Kao sighs at the appearance of the Grim Reaper. Pluto, why are you here? He asked. Apparently the appearance of the Grim Reaper wasn't in the cards of the wielder of the true Longinus. It's an order from Hades-sama. He told me to capture Orpheus when she appears, no matter the cost. As he says this, his greedy eyes move to Orpheus, who's standing next to Issei. Upon hearing this, seeing his action, Issei's killing intent increases dramatically, so much that most of the present are affected by the violent intentions of the Red Dragon Emperor. Issei vowed, in his mind, to crush the worthless pieces of trash in front of him to dust, for daring to lay his filthy eyes on Orpheus. He was about to engage the Grim Reaper when he felt a familiar aura. He smirked lightly before relaxing his body, deciding to leave it to his rival. I will be your opponent, ultimate Grim Reaper, Pluto. A magic circle between the two parties as a handsome silver hair appeared. From it, Lucifer had bloodthirsty grin on his face. It was Volley Lucifer, and he was angry. On his face as he stared at the Grim Reaper upon declaring his challenge, already donning his scale mail, like I thought. You have returned, Hyoudou, he commented as his eyes turned to Issei, who smirked at him. I wanted to take out my anger from the back of the artificial dimension on someone. I was having trouble in deciding whether I should take it out on Hades or the hero faction, but I left Hades to Azazel. Byoko and the others, I was waiting for the hero faction to appear, but the Gremory group took them out. Then, if this is the case, the only one I can take my anger on is you, Pluto, Volley says with a stunning look on his face. But Issei could see the underlying anger and frustration in his eyes. Pluto makes his stance at Volley and after spinning his scythe. I heard that you sent Fenrir to Hades-sama's place. I received the message just before coming here. The fang that is able to kill a god is truly a serious threat. We've truly received a terrifying assault. We captured Fenrir for such occasions, Volley replied succinctly. It's dangerous thought. Were you hoping to fight the gods from each of the factions? If we don't have a negotiation tool like that, we won't be able to take on God head on, right? Very well. But for me to take you on, who is the true descendant of Lucifer, and also the one who is the White Dragon Emperor, I really don't know what will happen even though I've lived for such a long time. It feels like my soul will go even higher if I defeat you. An impressive aura started to emit from Volley's armor as his power started pulsating. The aura was pure and white, enveloped entirely of his armor, along with the jewels which started flashing. I, the one who shall awaken, am the White Dragon who will take the law down to the darkness. What we strengthen is the height of the heavenly dragon. The path is the road of the domination of the White Dragon. We stop the infinite and devour the dream. The voices were filled in neither of the hatred nor malice that normally accompanied them. They were instead projecting pure fighting spirit. I walk the road of domination with infinite destruction, and by piercing through the imaginary dream, I shall become a pure emperor of the dragon. I shall. You have obeyed the silver-white illusions and the perfect evil ways. Juggernaut overdrive! As the light dissipates, Volley is seen covered in silver-white armor and is emitting outrageous amounts of aura. His mere presence at the overwhelming power is crushing his surroundings. Issei realized from the little information that was presented to him that this guy subjugated the past possessors of divine dividing, as opposed to his own method of understanding with them. Even though he didn't agree with the method, he came to appreciate the sheer resilience of his rival. His blood started boiling in excitement at the thought of fighting him. Imperio Juggernaut Overdrive. It is similar but different to Juggernaut Drive, an enhanced form which only I can use. You shall taste this strength with your body, Volley declares, while pointing at Pluto, who's slashing towards Volley in impressive speeds, leaving after images in his wake. Volley didn't move from his spot as such allowed Pluto to come to him. The next sound that was heard was the sounds of something breaking. What? Pluto looks on in shock at the scythe in his hands, now in pieces of courtesy of Volley's fist. He didn't get much time to dwell on, though, as he had received an uppercut jaw from Volley, sending him flying into the air. Volley directed his right hand towards the airborne Pluto and closed his palm. Compress. Compression divide times 5. Pluto's body, which is still in the air, starts to get compressed in length, then by the next width, then again by the length, so until his entire body is halved. The process doesn't stop, though, and is continuing without pause. Something like this, such power like this, Pluto screams in panic, unable to believe what is happening to him. Volley simply stares without mercy at him. Pluto's perish. Pluto, whose body came into a small that only those with the sharpest eyesight could pick out, screamed as he was erased completely from existence. There was no glorious battle or fanfare, as the life of the most powerful Grim Reaper was snuffed out without mercy. Volley, his armor, decided to dissipate as he took heavy breaths, clearly having taken a lot out of him from using his form, but the form was extremely dangerous if he wanted to erase Pluto instantly, was going anything by how Issei deeply impressed. The others were speechless in the face of Volley's overwhelming power. The two heavenly dragons are truly terrifying, Hyoudou Issei, with an eager smile on his face. Volley, I was right not to allow you to lose the Juggernaut Drive back in the artificial dimension, Ko says with a pruchid expression as he stares at Volley. Volley, The Juggernaut Drive excels in terms of destruction, but it comes with danger to your life and a risk of going out of control. The form I just showed you minimized that as much as possible. But what's different from Juggernaut Drive is that it can be strengthened even more. Ko, your greatest failure is that you didn't kill me when you had the chance, Volley declared. Getting a sour look from Ko, the expression is quickly wiped off his face as he glazes across the rest of the devils. So what should we do now? Will the one who play with me be Issei Hyoudou, or Volley, or Cyborg Biel? Or will you come at me all at once? No, taking all of you will be impossible. It would be reckless if I take on 3. Longinus class sacred gears, Kao states arrogantly. As Kao is caught up in his own herbers, Volley makes his way towards Issei. His 7 treasures. How many of them do you know? Volley asks. Only one. The one which allows him to destroy weapons, Issei replies, regretting that he didn't allow Kao more time to show off his ability during his last fight. He has which shields woman's abilities. One which transfers attacks, one which transfers opponents, one which allows him to fly, the ability to create mini doubles like Kiba, Blade Blacksmith, and Balance Breaker, and the last one focused heavily on destruction, Volley advised. Getting an appreciative nod from Issei, who had no problems taking on Kao as he stepped forward. So my opponent will be Issei Hyoudou, and the others aren't moving knowing that, Kao points out a smile. Without a word, 7 orbs appear around Kao, start rotating from his body. The silence of his balance breaker is quite unnerving to most, but Issei just grins in participation. Welch Dragon. Balance break. A blood-red aura surrounds his body as his armor manifests around him. When the light dies down, his subspecies balance breaker is on display for all to see. Of his armor, volume 22 on page 145, by the way. This is what it looks like. This is what first time anyone besides Cyborg saw his new form up close and personal. They were all staring in awe at his new armor. Volley had a battle-hungry look in his eyes as he stared at the new balance breaker. It truly is impressive sight, and would be quite intimidating for a lesser opponent. Kao moans as he shoots the air. Hetsutu Ratana. There were an orb beneath feet, so Issei assumed this was ability to fly without hesitation. He allowed his dragon wings to took offer at his opponent. Flash cannon. As the attacks approaches Kao, a spiral appears in front of him and he sucks up the attack. This is the ability to transfer attacks. Issei thought as a spiral beneath him. He uses it in inhuman reflexes to dodge, and last second of the dormant green energy spews out at him. Seeing that a single attack wouldn't have much success, Issei decides to go with multiple scatters attack. Heigen, he says, as both of his hands mimic a gun and shoots out small orbs compressed fire at Kao. Gathfini Ratana. One of the orbs around Kao appears in front of him as dozens of the humanoid figures appear. In a way of attack shielding him, Issei realized that this was the ability to duplicate himself. Similar to Kiba, they weren't very durable though, as they were taken down in a single hit each. Kao vanishes. After the attack is done, Issei had to have his haki on overdrive to dodge the swipe of the holy spear that came at his head. It seems that Kao can transport not only his opponents, but himself as well with one of his abilities. It was basically teleportation, not a fun ability to fight against. Issei lashed out with a spin kick as he dodged, which Kao stopped with the body of his spear before he regained his posture, thrusting grip at Issei. Issei used one of his large wings and flapped it hard, sending him to the opposite direction, quickly avoiding the thrust. He then sends out a bullet of demonic power at Kao, who once again absorbs it, but he didn't notice Issei charging after the bullet, as therefore caught off guard when he saw the armored red fist approach his face at high velocity. It was only a desperate application of his transportation ability prevented him from moving his head taken off. Issei was beginning to get a little annoyed at his opponent's ability. Due to the fact that all 7 of the orbs looked exactly the same, it was impossible to anticipate which ability was being used. Issei continued to attempt to engage him in physical battle, but Kao just used his reflexes or his transportation ability to evade. Sometimes Kao would use his Medusa's Eye ability to return Issei's armor to stone, but Issei would just destroy those proportions and reform them before carrying on. It was turning the battle into a game of cat and mouse between the two. Issei knew that the longer this battle went on, the better it would be for him. Regardless of Kao's abilities, in battle of attrition, he would always lose against Issei, who has superior composition. Issei knew that he couldn't take any chances though, as he didn't want to allow Kao the opportunity to use any of his trump cards. Issei, after getting a little fed up with Kao's dodging, decides to use a wide variety attack to smoke him out. Boost! Times 10. Eat this, Issei said as his mouth portion of his opens up, and he breathes a colossal amount of fire and a large portion of the sky they were fighting in. Kyo had no chance to use his transportation ability to dodge, which Issei was counting on, as he used his Ken Bosho no Haki to anticipate the place where he would appear. He silently detached Ascalon from his sacred gear and held it in the palm of his left hand as he charged towards the anticipated destination. Kyo had a look of surprise on his face as he was forced to block the sword strike as soon as he reappeared. He was forced on the defensive, as Issei's powerful swings were not giving him any room to maneuver. While his skill with the sword was nowhere near the level of Kiba, he was good enough to above average, and his superior strength and speed gave him an added edge. Kyo, seeing that he was being boxed in, decided to be a little reckless. Ranatada! An orb went flying up to Issei close range. Not expecting him to do something rash, Issei was left unable to dodge the attack. He collected his aura towards his abdomen, strengthened his body. The Byosho no Haki was prepared to take the attack head on. As the orb collected his armor, there was a massive impact that took place. The sound of it rang through the air. The shockwave reverberated throughout Issei's body as he understood that this was the orb that focused on destructive power. He spit out a little bit of blood, and he wasn't in too bad of a condition. His defense measures, as well as his naturally sturdy body, lessened that damage that was done. He could already feel his regeneration kicking in and his healing whatever damage was done. The impact of the attack did send him flying back, though, so there was a bit of a gap that opened up between the two of them. Issei could see that Kyo was breathing a little heavier, and his attention was off him. The attack was clearly took a lot out of him, as he expected to fatally wound Issei, which explains why he let his guard down. Seeing this opportunity, Issei took out a vile black gloop and poured some of it onto the tip of Ascalon before pulling the vial away before Kyo could notice. When he finally looks up, a look of astonishment appears on his face. That ability is still incomplete, as it overlaps with the ability to destroy weapons. It is also a bit unclear in its applications. Regardless, it should have destroyed most of your body, Kyo says in befuddlement. Ha! I'm far sturdier than that. You're going to have to do far better than that to leave any scratches on me, Issei declared before he charges at Kyo. Knowing that he was still a bit trained from executing his last attack, Kyo elects to block oncoming sword strike from Issei, and instead of teleporting something that will cost him, and Issei anticipated that at the end was actually hoping for. As the true Longinus and Ascalon connected, the black vicious substance connected on the end of the holy sword bounced off from the impact and landed on Kyo's face. He shut his eyes for a moment, fearing being temporarily blinded, but he noticed that Issei disengaged him. He was confused and attempted to wipe off the substance off his eye before the unbelievable amount of pain racked his body. He is forced to bend at the waist as he coughs out a large amount of blood. His screams can be heard from throughout the area as his insides are battered torturously. What? What have you done to me? He wheezes out painfully. It's Samil's blood, the portion that Shalba used against me, Issei said emotionlessly. I had Orphis extract it from my old body for me to use. Kyo's eyes widen in shock and realization. My eye! My Medusa's eye! He shouts in fear. His eyes was completely destroyed by the poison and was leaking a large amount of blood. Correct. Medusa was closely related to serpents, hence subsatile to Samuel's curse, Issei verifies. Isn't it ironic? The reason for your defeat and your largest weakness is that you were completely human, Issei stated coldly. Kyo started to laugh, pitifully at that, realizing that in pursuit of power, he had strayed from his most defining trait. It was a bitter pill to swallow for someone like him. He knew that his mostly human body would never be able to withstand the curse the same way that Issei and Vali did. Then I will use truth idea, he declares painfully. Spear me. Spear the truly holy spear who pierces through God. Suck the ambition of King of Domination sleeping within me, and pierce through the gap of blessing and destruction. You announce the will and turn the glow. After his chant, the tip of the spear opens, a magnificent amount of light starts erupting from it. As it reaches Crenceteto, the light eventually starts to die down and weaken. The light eventually disappears and shows still open tip. Kyo once looks at shock, unable to believe what just happened. It's not activating, he said confusedly. Issei raised an eyebrow at that. After a few seconds, an expression of realization appears on Kyo's face. I see. So that is your will. So you have picked the Sekiro's dream over my ambition. That was a shocking announcement from Kyo. Even Issei was having a hard time comprehending why such a thing happened. So you received a curse, Kyo, Vali said, as he came to the top not too far from the two combatants. Hey, Vali, your rival is the best. Ko said, with a bloody smile on his face. I won't hand him over to you, Ko, Volley said with a challenging smirk. Why did the truth idea fail? You tried to use it just before, right? I sensed when I was coming towards this building. The truth idea is related to the will of the God from the Bible. The will of the deceased god sucks the ambition of the holder of this spear, and by responding to how strong the opponent is, it creates many effects and miracles. That could be something with absolute power to destroy the opponent, or a blessing to the opponent to capture their hearts. But the answer the truth idea gave to the Red Dragon Emperor is silence. This implies that the Red Dragon Emperor won this match, and the sphere wants to see Issei Hyoudo's dream over mine, Ko explained. Volley then smiles in amusement after hearing that. So, that Holy Spear chose Issei Hyoudou and not Ko. That's why I told you, remember? I told you should have taken me down. Me and Issei Hyoudou before we could become out of control. And this is the result. At which seems dull, like I thought. The person who has the right to defeat the Red Dragon Emperor is me, Ko laughs bitterly at hearing Volley say that. I wanted to defeat him, Ko says feebly as he coughs out blood. Issei makes a distinguished face at hearing the words being traded by these two. They were speaking as though they would be some popular girl, and they wanted to each get a chance to date. It was making him sick. Yeah, that's right. I will be the one defeating Issei Hyoudou, Sour says as he comes to the scene. My friend sure is popular, Kiba adds his comment. Fuck, more dudes are here. Just what I need. This is a total fucking sausage fest, and they're all looking at me with such intensity. Ugh, it's making me want to puke. I need to fill up on Opie power, soon to counterbalance the outrageous amount of testosterone I'm being exposed to, Issei thought, as a disturbed look on his face. A familiar mist suddenly surrounds Ko before disappearing, revealing Grigor, whose body looks like it went through the grinder. He is missing one of his eyes and one of his arms. His left leg is off a black color as well. He clearly looks like he's seen better days. Let's return, Ko, Jerk says brokenly, clearly fighting back some kind of trauma. Gor, Ko whispered, Ko. We have many miscalculations, but you weren't entirely wrong, except, Grigor says as he takes Ko's hand and activates the transportation circle. We will be eliminated if we get involved with the two Heavenly Dragons, just like Shalba and the others. You are right, Grigor, Ko replies, before they disappear into the magic circle. Issei did nothing to stop them, nor did any of the others. For one, the battle was already won. For another, and this was from Issei's perspective, Ko was already a dead man. His vulnerable human body could never hope to fight against the poison of Samil. Issei could have easily killed him, but that would have been given him an easy way out. Issei was still holding a grudge for what he did to Orpheus, and wanted him to suffer a slow, painful death, with the very tool he sought to control the Ouroboros dragon with. It was the cruel twist of irony for Ko to face Issei with pleasure to the agony that arrogant hero sure was at this moment. For now, though, he had to deal with the aftermath of his little incursion of the Chaos Brigade on the underworld. Not long after that was done, Arthur showed up from a rip in space, informing his leader that they were done making a rampage in Hades' dimension. He also issued a challenge of a promise of a future fight to Kiba, who clarified that he defeated Siegfried. Volley and Arthur both left, but not before Volley stated his intent to finish our battle in the future. Cyborg also left to collect his Parage and get started on re-impairing the underworld. Partner, that was a good fight. For you to also start fighting with not just your power but also your brain, you have come a long way since you started. You are definitely worthy of being the Red Dragon Emperor, Drake praises Issei, who looks at his left arm in confusion. What is this all of a sudden? No, you should be fine with this. Looks like I used too much power to revive your body. I will lose consciousness very soon. Don't worry though, I will make sure you can use the boosted gear even without me. That's why I'm glad I was able to see a good fight at the end, Drake says weakly. Issei looks at his gauntlet with a profound look of sadness after hearing that. My partner, Issei. Thank you. It was a fun ride. Drake! Issei shouts frankly at hearing his partner's voice being cut off. He was using all of the control exercises that Drake had taught him to stop himself from crying at losing his partner. Drake has been with him through so much as he didn't know he'd continue being the Red Dragon Emperor without him and his guidance. They had a strange relationship, but it was one that Issei treasured, which is why it was hard to accept the fact that not hearing Drake's voice ever again. As he was contemplating these thoughts, he heard a sound that both pissed him off and made him want to laugh with joy. Googo! Issei realized what the sound was. It was a snore. More specifically, it was the sound of Drake snoring. That bastard was fast asleep. Drake is exhausted because he used his powers in the dimensional gap. He's sleeping, Orpheus says as he gently touches his gauntlet. Heavily silently snuck up on him, Issei looks at her with a smile of relief. Sleeping? That bastard made me think he was dying. I'm definitely going to get him back before he wakes up. Maybe by watching a season marathon of the Oppai Dragon Show, that should be a fitting punishment, Issei says with a creepy smile on his face. He smiles normally, though. When he looks at Orpheus, he gently pats her head, causing her to silently purr at his ministrations. Are you ready to go home, Orpheus-chan? He says with a warm smile. Orpheus looks at Issei and for the second time displays a large degree of outward emotion. She makes an adorable silent face as her eyes lit up in joy at him. Okay, Onisama. There was no better response that Issei could have ever asked for. All was right again in his world. He couldn't wait to get back into the swing of things. And that is the end of Chapter 7. Holy shit! Well, that is the end of this whole entire story. The author has not, updated this story since, let me check. I'll just check for you right now since the story has already ended. 2017, which unfortunately is quite a few years ago, as we are about to go into 2023. How's everybody feel about by that, by the way? How does 2023, I'd like to call 2023 the comeback, or that's what I would like to call it. So I hope you guys all think the same. I really did enjoy this story and everything that happened with it. Just tell me what else you guys want me to read. This was a banger of a story once again. I really did enjoy reading it, as well as I can't wait to read a bunch of other stories you guys put me on as well. If you guys want me to read any Naruto stories or Goku stories or any other Issei stories as well, I would love to read them at this point because, well, I'm training my ass off along with doing this. So it's kind of fun for me, to be honest. And I'm finally okay again. So, yeah, you know what I mean? So I wanted to thank you guys all for the support. And a lot of people thought I was drunk in that intro last time. By the way, guys, I do not consume alcohol. So I am actually just naturally stupid. Well, I really didn't mean to insult myself, but yeah, I'm just naturally an idiot. So thank you so much for the support, guys. Seriously, I can't thank you enough. If you guys want to subscribe to my second channel, I'm at 42,000 subs. If we hit 50K on that channel, bro, I might go crazy. I might go crazy. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna 50K. I'm sorry, I got a little excited, but thank you so much for the support, man. Let's try to hit like 300 or 400 likes for the end of this series. And thank you to all my balance breakers and limit breakers. If you guys want to become a channel member, click the first little blue link down in the description below, or the blue button right next to the subscribe button. And without further ado, Spartanic Arts DxD out.